Can you imagine taking your rowboat or your canoe down to the river's edge? The current is moving very rapidly, and you set your canoe in, deliberately point it upstream, and begin paddling with everything you've got. And we say, if you'll stop paddling so hard, the current will take you. Why not go with the flow? And humans say, oh, Abraham, that just seems lazy. And then we say, well, how long can you keep that up? And you say, I don't know, but I'm willing to try. We have human standards and contests. We are given rewards and awards, not while we're alive, mind you, after we're dead. And we measure ourselves against others who are struggling equally. And then those who eke out the best life amidst that struggle win. And we say, but why not release the struggle altogether and benefit by the current that has been established before you even got here? And for most humans, they say, what a novel way of looking at life. If I were to trust the stream, that would have to mean I'm already good. That's too much for me to contemplate. That would mean that the stream is always moving in the right direction. And how do I know that? How would I trust that? And we say, well, we recommend that you just stop the battle and release the struggle and let the stream carry you for a while and find out. And many say, I'm not sure that I could happily live in a life of ease. I've gotten so accustomed to the discomfort of my struggle that I'm not sure that I can trust the way I feel. Because, there are others who have been struggling, I think, too, who have convinced me that there is virtue in the struggle. And so I have, in my human body, learned other criteria that I use to evaluate the appropriateness of whether I go with the flow or whether I fight the current. So rather than just paying attention to the way I feel and trusting that that is the current and that well-being does abound, I use other criteria like what others think, or like which group is the biggest, which drum is being beat the loudest. Rather than thinking a thought based on how it feels, I think thoughts based upon the truth of them. And we say, and how do you come to those conclusions? And humans say, well, we get consensus from the masses. We all talk about it, and then we come to conclusions of right and wrong. And we just have to ask the question, how's that working out? Have you ever come to a consensus about anything, or are you still dropping bombs on those who don't agree? When you understand that there is a current or a flow that is bigger than the human life you are living, and that it is your legacy, it is your inheritance, and it is well-being, and you measure your vibrational frequency in relationship to it, now you've got guidance you can count on every single time. We laugh at Esther sometimes, and Jerry. We watch them as they are making their way around this nation again and again and again in their monster bus. And they have a ritual that they perform where they hook the tow car up to the monster bus and off they go again. And it is a very long rig. The bus is 45 feet long and the car is 20-something feet long, and the hitch in between. So they take up a very big space when they get themselves all hooked together. And Esther's philosophy is, let's get out there in some parking lot or along the side of some nice straight road, and let's get all nice and straight, and then let's hook up. And that way, I know when I'm behind the driver's seat that I can make the turns I need to make, and I will never get into a bind, because once everything's hooked together, you cannot go backwards. The hitch does not allow it. It's only forward motion. So if you come up to a tree and you can't make the turn, now you have to unhook everything, which is very hard to do if it is not absolutely straight. Jerry's philosophy is, let's live on the edge. Let's hook the car up no matter where we are, and then let's use our ingenuity to get ourselves out of whatever jam we've gotten ourselves into. And while Esther will admit that the majority of the time things go very well, she also acknowledges the truth of the fact that they have had to unhook a handful of times, and it hasn't been pretty. So recently, Jerry, who Esther always yields to, because she would rather him be wrong than her. No matter how right she believes she is, at the end of the discussion, Esther will say, let's do it your way. But what she means is, I hope we get in a jam. And recently it occurred to her that what she's saying is, I would rather be right than have things go well. Startling revelation to her. And then she wonders, and we wonder too, and we would like you to ask yourselves, how did you get into a place of competition about rightness when the entire universe is conspiring to help things go well for you? In other words, it is in your pitting yourself against the minds of each other that you conjure these false senses of right and wrong, when the truth of it is, the universe is always conspiring to give you the most good that you will allow in any moment. And Esther has discovered that since she has given up on her need with Jerry to be the one that figures out the best way to go, and instead she just has this cooperative attitude that together we will figure it out. And she has also come to the realization that sometimes her narrow view about what is the best way to go about something might prohibit her from experiencing a beneficial experience that, if she would allow herself to go with it, she would experience the expansion that it provides. In other words, that's the attitude with which you came forth into this physical body. You did not say, I'll go forth, but before I get there, get it all cleaned up so that when I get there, I will only see things that please me. Instead, you said, I will come forth into this variety, and as I sift through it, I will come to my own personal conclusions about what I prefer, and I will give those my undivided attention. And as I give those things I want my undivided attention, they will make up my life experience, because from non-physical, you understand law of attraction. From non-physical, you understand that you are vibrational beings, period. Oh yeah, there's that blood and flesh and bone, blah, 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 blah. You are vibrational beings. You are more radio frequency. You are more energy. You are more light. You are more vibration than you are anything. And your vibration has a frequency. And your vibration is about the source energy that you are, but it is also about the thought you're thinking right now in relationship to the source energy that you are right now. Do you get that? So when you love someone, your thought about love is such a vibrational match with Source's view about same subject that you become one powerful consensus of vibration. You are in alignment, and in that moment, you are thriving top to bottom. But in your hatred or in your anger, even though you may be justified, even though someone may have absolutely wronged you, in your anger, you are emitting a vibrational signal that is a far cry from how Source is seeing the same subject, and you have affected a vibrational separation, is too strong of word, but a vibrational resistance that you can feel in your emotional center. It feels like negative emotion. It feels like powerlessness. It feels like despair. It feels like fear. It feels like anger. It feels like any number of those negative feelings, emotions, but it is your guidance saying to you, your perspective and therefore your vibration is causing a separation within you that is not necessary. And humans say, oh yes it is, because they won't do what I need them to do so that I can feel better. And we say, what's what anybody's doing got anything to do with how you feel? And humans say, you're kidding, right? What they're doing has everything to do with how I feel, because when I see them do it, I feel bad. If they'd do something different, I might feel different. And we say, now we understand your perception of powerlessness. You think that to feel better, you've got to control conditions. And you can't, because there's too many others with the right to choose and be and do as they choose. And you say, well, they have the right, but they don't have the right to do it in my experience. Their freedom ends where my nose begins, you say. And we say, they're free to be as they are, and you're free to observe them as they are. And whatever it is you are giving your attention to, law of attraction is bringing you more of. And you have the power to vibrate in ways that bring you only what you want, or you can be sloppy about your observation. You can be sloppy about your thinking. You can just look all around and vibrate about all of it and get some of all of it. So you can attract clarity or confusion or some of both. You can attract wellness and sickness and some of both. You can attract anything that you make dominant in your vibration, but you're in charge. And the best part of it is you've got constant, every moment, never-ending vibrational feedback, because the source that is within you never stops offering the steady signal, and that steady signal is always one of those 2 points of vibrational relativity which are giving you your feedback. Not only can you be or do or have anything that you choose, you were born to choose. And not only can you be or do or have anything that you choose, there are no limits to that. There is no competition. There is nothing that someone else can receive that can anyway detract from your receiving, because the universe is yielding to you, to you, to you, to you. You are an extension of Source, and you have caused Source to expand, and Source stands in that expanded place because of you and offers the signal of that expansion with relentless energy and never stops offering that signal to you. Talk about a flow. Oh, what a current. What a current. And friends, we are so impressed in your mass consciousness and individual ability to buck that current. It's quite impressive. You've been at it a while, but we're here to beg you, no, that's not right, encourage you to give up the struggle. Jerry and Esther had the glorious experience of going whitewater rafting on a Colorado River that had quite a flow. And it occurred to them that when they set their rubber raft, there were 6 of them and a very knowledgeable guide. When they set their raft into the water, it became absolutely obvious that that river was going to take them where it wanted to take them. In other words, there were 6 of them, and they were strong, and they were focused, but they could not have paddled upstream for very long. They just relaxed into that right away and put all of their efforts toward guiding their raft to the best advantage in the river, which was really fun. It never occurred to them to buck that flow. Now, if they had gotten into a really slow-moving river, one that was very slowly moving downstream, we can understand their temptation. All right, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's move up the stream. And what we're saying to you is, as life causes you to know what you don't want, which causes you to know what you do want, your stream gets moving faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. In other words, the longer you live and the more focused you are, the faster that stream is. And here's the thing that we want so much for you to hear from us. There's no counter stream. There was not a stream pulling them this way and a stream pulling them this way. And there isn't true with you either. When it feels to you that things are hard in your experience, all it is speaking to is your learned resistance to your natural stream. Do you get what we mean by that? The harder things feel, the more it means life has caused you to want something. When you really feel strong negative emotion, you know what that means? That means you really want something, and you've wanted it for a long time, and you've got source energy working with you, and you've got a huge current that is going. And when you allow yourself to go with that current that your life has caused you to carve out, you feel wonderful. But when you stand in obstinate opposition to that stream, you feel awful. And so, from our way of looking, we just can hardly believe that you could find any reason whatsoever not to just relax and go with the stream. So you get it that you were source energy before you were in this body? And as source energy, you were consciousness that came here with reason? And you deliberately exposed yourself to variety for the purpose of coming to new conclusions about what you thought life would be? And when you die, you allow your total becoming of all of that.